Hey, what is up, guys? It is Reed. I am 27, just an average dude. I've made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. So today we were talking about something a lot of people ask me about. How do you go from making minimum wage to six figures? And I gotta be honest with you right off the bat, I don't think I am special. My story is not some crazy rags to riches fairy tale. I didn't get perfect grades. I didn't have rich parents. I didn't have connections handed to me on a silver platter. I didn't start some viral business or buy crypto at the right time. None of that. My path was messy. It was full of failure and self-doubt, and honestly a lot of moments where I thought I was never going to figure it out. But I did, and I really believe most people can replicate what I did if they willing to put in the work and be patient. Let me take you all the way back to where it started. Before high school, I didn't really do much besides the occasional lawn mowing and shoveling driveways for neighbors, the classic kid stuff. But my first real job came when I was 16 years old. I worked at a grocery store, $7.65 an hour. Let that sink in, $7.65. I was bagging groceries. I was taking shopping carts in from the parking lot in the freezing cold Wisconsin winter. Sometimes I'd hop on the cash register if they needed me. It was glamorous at all. But here's the thing about minimum wage jobs. I actually think everyone should have to work one at some point in their life. It teaches you something that no classroom ever can. When I was working at that grocery store, I saw all kinds of people. There were teenagers like me just trying to make some pocket money. There were college kids saving up for tuition. And then there were older people in their 40s, 50s, even 60s still working the same job. And I am not judging anyone for that because those jobs are hard and they honorable. But I remember looking at some of those older workers and noticing something. A lot of them just didn't seem happy. There was this heavy energy in the air sometimes. I remember one time a cashier probably in his 40s or 50s just completely lost it. He started yelling at everyone and then stormed out of the store. I'll never forget that moment. It stuck with me because I looked at that guy and I thought to myself, I don't want to be him in 20 years. That is not me judging him. That is me realizing that I had a choice. I could either let life happen to me or I could start making decisions that would lead me somewhere else. So that was my first real lesson. Minimum wage is fine when you are 16. But if you stay there forever without building any skills, you are going to feel trapped, and that feeling of being trapped is worse than any low-paying job, honestly. After high school, I did what most people in my community did. I went to college. I got into a great state school in Wisconsin thanks to being a tryhard in high school. But when I got there, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was studying chemistry because I thought it sounded impressive. I don't even know. I was lost. I was just wandering through basic classes with zero direction. That first summer, I went back to working minimum wage, this time at Jimmy John's delivering subs. Technically, it was a pay bump because I got tips. I was probably making around $12 an hour, which felt like a lot compared to the grocery store. I even strategically tried to work at a Jimmy John's in a rich neighborhood. I delivered a sub to the general manager of the Milwaukee Brewers one time. That felt kind of cool for a second. But honestly, the job was the same grind. Driving sandwiches around, dealing with customers, watching the managers, maybe make $15 an hour and having to deal with all the stress of opening and closing the shop. A lot of the people I worked with were just passing time. They were stoners and potheads and people who didn't really care about much. And again, I looked around and thought this is not the atmosphere I want to be in long term. So I went back to college, and here's something I had to figure out the hard way. The whole point of college is to acquire a skill that people will pay you more for than you could earn otherwise. That sounds obvious, but I wasn't thinking about it that way. At first, I was in chemistry, and I quickly realized I hated lab work. Hated it. Plus, chemistry often requires additional schooling to get a decent job, so I made a decision. I switched my major to computer science. And this is where things started to shift. I was at a family gathering, and I told everyone I was switching to computer science. I didn't know anything about computers, nothing. But my aunt happened to work for a small IT company, and she said she could help me get a job. I went in for an interview with 3 people, and I was completely honest with them. I said, look, I don't really know much about computers yet, but I am willing to work hard, and I learn fast. And somehow they gave me a chance. They offered me $14 an hour, and I was over the moon. That job was my first real desk job experience. I sat in a cubicle for the first time and felt like an adult, but the work was tedious. I was cleaning out the IT closet. I was keeping inventory of equipment. I was basically one step away from bringing people coffee in the morning. Any computer issue that came up, I was there to fix it. I learned a ton about troubleshooting and working with people, but I also felt underutilized. I wanted more. During this time, my grades suffered. I was going to class, then driving to work, then trying to study late at night. I was getting C's and B's. My GPA was nothing special, but I was getting real-world experience, and honestly, that ended up mattering way more. Junior year, I went to the university career fair. I walked into this big room full of booths, and all the big tech companies had massive lines. Apple, Facebook, Google, UD have to wait 2 hours just to talk to a recruiter for 2 minutes. So I looked around and noticed something. The insurance companies, the big, boring, very rich insurance companies had almost no lines. So I walked over, got in the short line, and started talking to them. Turns out one of them liked me. I got an interview. I went to their campus, met with their tech team, and got a job offer. $20 an hour. I was 21 years old, and I had never seen money like that in my life. I was thrilled. But that school year was rough. I had my worst GPA ever. I had zero motivation for classes. I even started a side business selling children's books and it completely failed. It just kept eating up my savings. I was demoralized. I started questioning whether computer science was even right for me. When the school year finally ended, I had the lowest grades of my entire academic career. Then I started the summer internship and something clicked. Once I got into the actual work, I realized I was good at it. Like genuinely good. I was getting C's and B's in school, but I was crushing it on the job. That blew my mind. I realized there is a huge disconnect between school and success in the real world. So I went all in. I attended every networking event. I took meetings with leaders. I got to know as many people in the company as possible. By the end of the summer, they gave me a full-time offer as a software engineer. It was close to 6 figures. Not quite there, but close. And I was ecstatic. But here's where the next lesson hit me. When I started that job, I was totally focused on learning and networking, but corporate America is slow. Pay raises are tiny. You can have an amazing year and they give you a 3% raise. That is nothing. I stayed at that company for about 3 years. I looked around and started talking to coworkers about their pay, and I realized they were making way more than me, like $20,000 to $30,000 more. For doing similar work, that pissed me off, and it motivated me. I set one goal: land a 6-figure salary in 2021. I applied to hundreds of jobs. I set up a whole spreadsheet with company names and links to applications. I just kept sending my resume over and over and over again. The numbers were brutal. Maybe 10% of applications led to a response. Of those, maybe 10% led to an interview, but I kept going, and eventually I got 2 job offers. One of them gave me that 6-figure salary I was chasing. Now, was the market good at the time? Yeah, it was 2021 before everything got weird, but I still had to put in the work. Nobody handed it to me. So let me give you the biggest takeaways from this whole journey, because I want this to be actually useful to you. Number 1, develop a skill that people will pay for. Look back at my grocery store job and my Jimmy John's job. Those jobs don't pay well because almost anyone can do them. That is not an insult. It is just reality. Bagging groceries and delivering sandwiches are honest work, but they are not skills that are rare. If you want to earn more, you need to invest in learning something that is in demand: engineering, technology, medicine, law, skilled trades. Do your research, pick a path, and commit to it. Number 2, experience matters way more than grades. Unless you are trying to get into med school or law school, nobody cares about your GPA. I never had a single employer ask me for mine, not once. And thank God, because I had a B average and then a C average by the time I graduated. Focus on internships, focus on projects, focus on getting real experience in real environments. That is what actually prepares you for the working world. Number 3, be different. When everyone was standing in line for Google and Facebook, I went to the boring insurance company. That decision changed my life. Same thing with my failed children's book business. It was a total flop, cost me money and time and stress. But every interviewer asked me about it because it was unique. It made me memorable. Find a way to stand out. Be the person who did something that nobody else in the room did. Number 4, be aggressive. When I was chasing that 6-figure job, I applied to over 100 positions. Most of them rejected me. That is fine. You need to get comfortable with rejection. It builds resilience, and you need to be selfish about your career. If you have a family to feed, great, use that as motivation. If you don't, pretend you do. Company loyalty is dead. They can fire you at any time for any reason, so why can't you leave when it benefits you? Number 5, network constantly. The springboard for my whole career was my aunt, who helped me get that first job. One connection changed everything. You never know who might open a door for you. Talk to people, go to events, stay in touch. One good relationship can make up for a lot of bad luck. So that is it. That is my story. Nothing crazy. Just a normal guy who made a lot of mistakes, kept pushing, and eventually got to where I wanted to be. 6 figures is absolutely doable. It is not reserved for geniuses or trust fund kids. It is for people who are willing to learn, work hard, and be patient. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What is your biggest struggle right now with money or your career? I read every comment and I try to respond when I can. If this video helped you at all, please hit that subscribe button. I put out honest, no bullshit content about building wealth and getting your life together in your 20s. No fake guru energy, just real talk from a regular dude. Peace.